The rain on Vega Outpost wasn't like Earth's. It shimmered silver, falling in slow motion through the planet's thick atmosphere, making the metal platforms glow like mirrors. Chun Park crouched beside his damaged cargo skimmer, muttering under his breath as he tried to fix the power relay. His fingers were numb from the cold, his tools slick with condensation. He'd been running deliveries for months alone, tired, and barely scraping enough credits to pay docking fees. A sharp noise cut through the storm, half a yelp, half a growl. Chun froze. It came from behind the cargo containers near the reactor fence. He grabbed his flashlight, switched the safety off his pulse sidearm, and moved slowly toward the sound. "Hello?" he called. If that's another scavenger. The beam of light caught something small and trembling. A creature, its fur soaked and glowing faintly blue under the rain. It wasn't just an animal. It had intelligent eyes, Violet, reflecting fear and exhaustion. The creature's body was sleek, almost fox-like, with patches of luminescent scales running down its spine. Chun knelt, setting his weapon aside. "Hey there," he murmured softly. "You're not from around here, are you?" The creature made a low, warbling sound, then collapsed. Without thinking, Chun scooped it into his arms. It was surprisingly warm, even in the freezing storm. Back at his skimmer, he laid it on a thermal blanket. The creature's breathing was shallow. Its body trembled with each exhale, leaving tiny trails of blue frost on the metal floor. Chun activated his portable medkit and scanned it. The device flickered, confused, before displaying a rough translation. Species: unknown. Injuries: dehydration. Plasma burns? Plasma burns? Chun frowned. "You've been in a fight." The creature stirred, opening its eyes again. It tried to speak, but the words came out in broken translator feedback clicks, hums, and one clear phrase. "Who, man?" Chun blinked. "Yeah, that's me." "You can talk?" The creature nodded weakly. "Name, sex, need." "Safe. Safe, huh?" Chun sighed, glancing at the storm outside. "All right, Zex. You can stay here till you're better." Zex's eyes flickered, and for a second, Chun thought he saw gratitude there. But then the creature winced, curling its tail close. A small metallic chip, half burned, fell from its fur. Chun picked it up. It looked military. He recognized the symbol etched into it, the Zarkonian fleet. His stomach sank. The Zarkonians were one of the oldest interstellar empires, mysterious, powerful, and known for their biotechnological creations. If this creature came from them, Chun had just taken in something very dangerous. Still, he couldn't abandon her. He worked through the night, patching her wounds with improvised bandages and nutrient packs. By dawn, Zex was breathing steadily. When she finally woke, her translator sensed properly. "You helped me," she said, her voice calm, melodic. "You risked much." Chun shrugged. "Couldn't just leave you there. Besides, I've done worse." She tilted her head. "Humans. Always strange. Strange is one word for it." He smiled faintly. Zex looked down at her paws, no hands. They were more like slender claws now, regrown after the burns. "I was hunted. Zarkonian patrols found out. I escaped." Chun leaned back, brow furrowing. "Escaped from what?" Her violet gaze met his. "Experiment. Hybrid. Weapon project." He let out a low whistle. "So you're saying they made you?" "Made and abandoned. Until I ran." She touched her side gently. "They will search. They always do." Chun felt a chill. "Then you'll need somewhere better than my cargo crate." Over the next few days, as the storm raged on, Chun modified his skimmer's hidden compartments to make a small refuge. Zex recovered faster than any human could, her wounds closing with faint light under her skin. She began helping him repair systems, showing strange instincts with electronics and fusion cores. One night, as they shared synthetic coffee and heat from the reactor, Zex looked at him intently. "Human, why help me?" Chun took a sip before answering. "Because I've been lost too, and someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it." She nodded slowly. "Then I owe you." He chuckled. "No debts here, Zex." She tilted her head again, smiling faintly in her alien way. "Still, you should prepare, human." "For what?" Her eyes glowed brighter, mischievous. "We're having puppies." Chun nearly spit out his drink. "What?" Zex looked perfectly serious. "My kind bonds through empathy. Shared resonance during healing. It means new life." He stared, speechless. Zex's tail flicked, amused. "Don't worry. They'll look mostly like me." Outside, lightning cracked across Vega's stormy sky, and Chun realized his quiet cargo life had just turned into something far more complicated. Chun didn't sleep that night. The wind howled through the metal beams of Vega Outpost, rattling his skimmer like a can in a storm. He kept glancing at Zex, who lay curled in the corner on a thermal pad, her bioluminescent fur dimming as she slept. The phrase kept echoing in his mind like static through an old radio. "We're having puppies." He rubbed his forehead, half laughing, half panicking. "Great. Either I've gone insane, or the universe just gave me the weirdest parenting assignment ever." At dawn, he stepped outside. The storm had cleared, leaving a pale orange sky and a thin shimmer of mist over the outpost. The landing platforms were empty, no ships, no traders. Too quiet. Chun frowned. Vega Outpost was never this silent. Then he saw black contrails slicing across the horizon, moving too fast for civilian crafts. His stomach tightened. Zarkonian interceptors. He rushed back inside. "Zex, wake up. We've got company." Zex stirred, ears twitching. The moment she saw the radar blip on his screen, she froze. "They found me. How?" Chun demanded. "I've kept the beacon off. They track scent signatures. Resonance traces." She stood, her body flaring faintly with blue light. "They can sense me anywhere." Chun's mind raced. He'd dealt with bounty hunters and smugglers before, but Zarkonian hunters were different disciplined, relentless, and armed with nanoblades that could cut through ship armor. He checked his skimmer's defense module. Half the systems were still fried. "All right," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "We're not running blind. We've got a few tricks." Zex watched him as he began strapping on his jacket and holster. "Why do you help me, human?" "They will kill you too. Because leaving you isn't an option," Chun said simply. "Besides, I've always wanted to annoy an empire before breakfast." Her ears flicked upward, something like a smile ghosting her face. "You are reckless." "Yeah, comes with being human." The first blast hit minutes later. The platform shuddered as plasma fire lit up the sky. A Zarkonian strike team descended, sleek armor gleaming black and silver, moving in perfect formation. Chun ducked behind a cargo crate and fired a pulse round. The air filled with crackling energy and shards of melted metal. Zex crouched beside him, her hands glowing with energy. "Their armor reflects heat aimed for joints," she said sharply. Chun nodded. "You fight?" "I was made to." Before he could respond, she leaped over the barricade, moving faster than his eyes could follow. Blue light streaked through the mist as she struck one soldier, freezing the air around his armor until it cracked. Chun fired again, taking another down. The battle was fast and brutal. The hunters moved like machines, their helmets scanning for any trace of Zex's bioluminescent glow. She darted between shadows, her claws leaving trails of frost. When one caught her by the tail, Chun shot the creature's arm clean off and dragged her back behind cover. "You okay?" he asked, panting. She nodded. Blood, if it was blood, glowing faintly beneath her fur. "They won't stop. More will come. Then we make sure they don't have coordinates to send." Chun grabbed his datapad and pulled up the outpost's relay beacon. "If I overload the communication core, it'll fry everything, no signal in or out." Zex's expression darkened. "It will also draw them all here." "Yeah," Chun said with a smirk. "That's the idea." Zex stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Humans. Always choosing fire." "Fireworks," he said, tapping the console. The core began to hum, its lights pulsing red. The air grew hot, crackling with static. Chun loaded another pulse magazine, glancing at Zex. "If we make it out, you owe me an explanation. About those puppies." Her tail flicked. "Later." The second wave arrived, 5 hunters, their armor glowing with red streaks. Chun ducked as one fired, plasma scorching the wall beside him. Zex roared a chilling, echoing sound that froze the air mid-blast. The plasma bolts crystallized, shattering harmlessly. Chun gawked. "You can do that?" Her eyes glowed. "I told you." "Hybrid." He grinned despite the danger. "Remind me never to make you angry." Together, they fought their way back to the skimmer. Chun slammed his hand on the ignition, and the ship roared to life, lifting off the melting platform. Below, the relay core detonated, sending a massive pulse across the sky, a blinding wave of blue-white energy. The shockwave knocked the Tsar, Conian ships off course, scattering them like leaves in a hurricane. Chun's skimmer sped into the clouds, the controls shaking violently. "Hold on, Zex." He shouted, "I am holding." She replied, gripping the console. When the turbulence finally eased, Vega Outpost was nothing but a distant glow. Chun checked the radar no pursuit. For now, he slumped in his seat, exhaling hard. That was insane. Zex's ears drooped slightly. "You risked everything again." He looked at her. "Told you bad habit." She was quiet for a moment, then whispered, "Human." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Chun said, setting a course toward the nearest safe zone. "We're gonna need a plan. And some answers." Zex nodded slowly, her gaze turning toward the stars ahead. "And you should prepare, human, because what comes next will not be peace." Outside, the glow of the dying outpost faded, and a long dark between worlds stretched before them, vast, silent, and full of things neither of them yet understood. The stars over Vega drifted behind them like silver dust. Chun's skimmer cruised silently through the void, its engines barely humming. He had rerouted power from the shields to the life support grid's X, was still weak, though she hid it well. Her blue glow flickered softly in the cabin, casting strange, moving shadows across the walls. Chun leaned back in his seat, rubbing his temples. "You know, when I woke up this morning, my biggest worry was a broken power coil. Now I'm a fugitive with an alien who says we're having puppies." He exhaled. "I must have hit my head." Zex looked up from the corner, her head tilted slightly. "You still think it was a joke?" "Pretty sure my species doesn't reproduce by, what did you call it, resonance healing?" Her violet eyes gleamed faintly. "Not reproduction, extension, a reflection of shared energy. You saved me, and our life threads mixed. Something new formed between them." Chun blinked. "You're saying energy made babies?" Zex gave a small, amused sound, a rumbling purr that made the air vibrate. "Not babies. Life clusters. They will grow until they find form." He stared at her. "That's somehow even more confusing." She smiled faintly, curling her tail around her. You will see soon. The bond will change you too. He laughed nervously. Let's hope it doesn't make me start glowing. She didn't answer. Hours passed. The ship drifted through a silent sector, away from the main lanes. Chun worked on the navigation logs, trying to erase traces of their route. His hands trembled slightly, at first from exhaustion, then from something else. He felt a faint warmth under his skin, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Zex, he murmured, looking at his hands. Is it normal if I start? Feeling weird? She looked up sharply. Describe it. It's like static under my skin. Heat and cold together. Her expression changed from curiosity to realization. It begins. Hold on, what begins? Zex approached him, placing one clawed hand on his chest. Her touch was cool, almost electric. A faint blue light rippled through him. He gasped. For a moment, he saw things flashes of color, sound, movement. Vast fields of glowing creatures, Zarkonian towers rising into stormy skies, and something deep, alive, humming beneath everything. Then it was gone. He stumbled back, breathing hard. What was that? The bond echo, Zex said softly. You felt my memories, and part of me now lives in you. Chun stared at her, still shaking. Part of you? Like DNA? Like soul, she said, struggling for the right word. Our energies linked when you healed me. My kind calls it the kin resonance. It chooses those who act without selfishness. He slumped into the chair, overwhelmed. So you're telling me I'm, what, half-glowing dog now? Zex chuckled quietly. Not dog. Zarkonian hybrid, if the transformation completes. But don't worry. You will keep your shape. Gee, thanks, Chun muttered, then winced as another pulse shot through his chest. His reflection in the viewport shimmered faintly blue. Zex turned toward the control panel. We must find a safe planet soon. The bond will attract hunters. They will sense the new life forming. Chun frowned. So we're basically a walking beacon. Yes, she said simply. He rubbed his face. Perfect. After a while, the silence settled between them again. The ship's interior lights dimmed automatically to simulate night. Zex sat near the viewport, watching the distant nebula. Her fur shimmered faintly, like frost catching starlight. You don't regret it? Chun asked quietly. She turned. Regret what? Escaping. Letting me help. Getting stuck with a human idiot like me. Zex blinked slowly, then looked back at the stars. Humans, strange creatures. You run toward danger for those you barely know. My creators would call that weakness. And you? I think it's what makes you different. Chun smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. Zex's tail flicked. It was one. He closed his eyes, exhaustion finally catching up. Wake me if any more interstellar empires show up. I will, she said softly. When he fell asleep, Zex approached him quietly. A faint glow pulsed from her chest, to his threads of blue light dancing between them like fireflies. She whispered something in her native tongue, words that sounded like a promise. Moments later, the ship's sensors flickered unidentified signals on the outer edge of their range. Zex's ears twitched. She touched the console, scanning the feed. The radar painted a slow-moving shape large, angular, and unmistakably Zarkonian. Her heart sank. They found us, she whispered. She looked at Chun. Still sleeping, unaware of the danger closing in. The bond between them glowed faintly, and she could feel his pulse echoing in her own. She smiled sadly. You should prepare human, she murmured again. Because this time, they will not stop until the bond is broken. Outside, The shadow of a massive Zarkonian ship drifted closer, blotting out the stars, its scanners sweeping like silent eyes across the void. The hum of the engines grew restless, a trembling vibration that echoed through the skimmer's hull. Chun woke with a jolt, heart pounding. Zex was already at the controls, her fur standing on end, eyes fixed on the navigation display. Outside, the stars were fading behind a swirling mass of violet gas, the edge of the Kalinor Nebula. "What's happening?" he asked, voice hoarse. Zex didn't look back. "They found us?" A Zarkonian hunter frigate, less than 20,000 kilometers behind. Chun sat upright, his mind snapping to clarity. "You said their range doesn't reach this far." "I said it shouldn't," she replied sharply. "But the bond changed that. They can sense us." He climbed into the co-pilot's seat. "Then we go in." Zex blinked. "Into the nebula? The radiation will tear the ship apart." Chun grinned, already flipping the manual override. "Not if we fly smart." Zex hissed softly. "Humans, always choosing fire." "Fire works," he said again, echoing his own words from Vega. The skimmer dove into the nebula, clouds of glowing dust wrapping around them like a living storm. The sensors glitched instantly. Colors bled into each other on the screens. Chun switched to manual vision, guiding by instinct. Outside, blue and purple light rippled like waves, painting Zex's fur with shifting halos. Behind them, the Zarkonian frigate entered the cloud too, its massive engines burning through the mist. "Faster," Zex urged, tail twitching. "I'm trying." Chun snapped, his hands gripping the controls. Static danced up his arms. No, not static. Energy. The same strange warmth from before now surged stronger, linking his heartbeat to the ship's pulse. Zex turned toward him, her eyes widening. "Chun, your veins, they're glowing." He looked down. Blue light shimmered beneath his skin, tracing patterns like circuits. "That can't be good." "It is the bond awakening," Zex said, awe mixing with worry. "You are channeling me." The ship trembled again as an energy bolt grazed their hull. Sparks erupted. Alarms wailed. Chun clenched his jaw. "If I'm channeling you, tell me how to use it." She hesitated, then leaned close, her forehead pressing lightly against his. "Do not think, feel." The instant her skin touched his, the cockpit exploded with color. Chun saw the world through her senses' energy flows, magnetic currents, plasma trails cutting through the nebula. Every movement of the Zarkonian ship appeared as ripples of red heat. "I can see them," he breathed. "Then fly." Chun jerked the controls, spinning the skimmer through a narrow corridor of glowing dust. A blast roared past, close enough to shake their teeth. Zex stabilized the reactor with her claws, channeling her bioluminescence into the power grid. The ship responded, faster than it ever had before. They were no longer flying by machine. They were flying as one. The frigate fired again, this time with a magnetic snare. Chun swerved down, diving into a canyon of ionized gas. Lightning forked around them like furious spirits. "Can't keep this up," Chun muttered. "You can," Zex said softly, her hand over his. "You are not just human anymore." He glanced at her. For a moment, her reflection shimmered across the glass twin glows, blue and human gold. He felt her heartbeat inside his chest, not as something foreign, but familiar. Then, ahead of them, he saw it, a pulsar-like storm at the nebula's heart, spinning with furious light. A gravity well surrounded it, a death trap for ships. ZEX single quotes S ears flattened. "If we go there, we die." Chun grinned. "Not if we make them die first." He adjusted the power distribution, pushing all reserves to the rear thrusters. "We'll drag them in and slingshot out." Zex blinked, processing his insane plan. That's suicide. Only if you don't believe. He accelerated. The skimmer screamed as it raced toward the maelstrom. Behind them, the frigate followed, trying to match speed. Closer, Chun whispered. The gravity surge tugged at them. Metal groaned. Now! He flipped the reverse thrusters and activated the energy pulse Zex's own bioluminescence, flaring through the ship. A shockwave burst outward, collapsing the nebula gas behind them. The Zarkonian ship was caught in the implosion, dragged toward the pulsar's gravity field. For a moment, the entire sky turned white. Then silence. When Chun opened his eyes, the nebula stretched peaceful again. The radar was empty. Zex exhaled slowly, shoulders trembling. You did it? We did it, he corrected, voice weak but steady. Guess humans and Zarkonians make a good team. She looked at him, eyes softening. You are changing faster than I expected. He frowned. What do you mean? She placed her hand over his heart. The bond is stabilizing. The life clusters are growing. The weight the puppies? Zex's expression turned unreadable. Not puppies. Something new. Something both of us. Before he could answer, a faint beep interrupted the ship's distress channel had activated itself. On the holographic display, a new signal blinked. Transmission source. Zarkonian command node. Priority Alpha. Chun felt his blood run cold. They're not gone. Zex's tail lowered. No, the frigate was only a scout. The real hunters are coming. She looked out the viewport, her eyes glowing brighter. And this time, human, they bring something far worse than soldiers. Chun swallowed hard. Then we'd better be ready. She nodded slowly, her voice low and calm. We will be. But the bond must complete first. The nebula swirled around them, its colors fading into darkness. For the first time, Chun realized he wasn't just running anymore. He was part of something bigger, alive and very much in danger. The nebula was dying behind them, fading into a sea of cold stars. Chun's skimmer drifted through the quiet, half-limping, its hull scorched and patched with Zex's crystallized energy. The silence was heavy, the kind that only came after running for too long. Chun checked the nav systems, nothing but static. No colonies, no friendly frequencies. They were alone. Zex sat across from him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Her tail moved slowly, restless. The air between them carried that strange hum again, the pulse of their shared energy, the resonance that had saved them and doomed them all at once. Chun exhaled, his voice low. So what now? We can't outrun a fleet. Zex didn't answer right away. You don't understand, human. The bond isn't just between us. It's calling out. Calling to what? To life. She rose slowly, her fur shimmering like starlight. The clusters inside the bond. They're awakening. Chun frowned, uneasy. You mean the puppies? Zex tilted her head, clearly amused. Your word makes it sound simple. It is not. She pressed her palm against the deck, and a soft blue glow spread outward. The light pulsed in rhythm with their breathing, forming patterns that looked almost alive. Then, in the center of the floor, small orbs of light began to rise 3, then 5, then 9. They hovered weightlessly. Tiny and pure. Chun watched, wide-eyed. Are those the offspring of resonance? Zex whispered. They are not flesh. Not yet. They are bonded life, drawn from our shared energy. He stepped closer, feeling the warmth radiate from them. So, what do they become? Whatever we guide them to be. For a moment, the cabin was filled with quiet wonder. Then the radar screamed to life. Zex's head snapped toward the console. They found us. Chun lunged for the controls. How many? Too many, she said grimly. A command dreadnought, 4 escorts. Chun cursed. Guess they didn't like losing their lab project. Zex's claws flexed. They will destroy the bond to erase their failure. Chun looked at the floating orbs. Not happening. The dreadnought dropped out of warp moments later, filling the viewport with its monstrous silhouette-bladed hulls and pulsing red engines. Energy fields shimmered along its sides. A voice boomed through the comms, mechanical and cold. Prototype ZX-09. Terminate link. Return for reclamation. The human will be discarded. Zex's tail lashed. They think I am still theirs. Then let's show them you're not, Shun said, gripping the throttle. He dove the skimmer straight toward the dreadnought. Zex's eyes widened. You're attacking that? Got a better idea? She didn't so. She braced herself, placing her hands on the reactor core. Then let us end this. The ship roared to life, light surging through its veins. Chun felt the energy building inside him, again stronger, hotter. The blue glow under his skin flared until it merged with Zex's own aura. The cockpit dissolved into pure radiance. He could see the dreadnought systems, their power nodes, their weak points like red scars in the void. Zex, he said through gritted teeth, can we hit that vent array? She closed her eyes, focusing. If we fuse our resonance, yes. But it will destroy the bond. Chun hesitated, only a heartbeat. Do it, the energy surged. Zex screamed, not in pain, but in release, as their powers merged completely. The ship became a streak of blue fire, ripping through the dark. The dreadnought fired everything plasma. Missiles, beams, but every shot curved away, deflected by the resonance field. Then, like lightning, they struck. The vent array exploded outward, tearing through the dreadnought's spine. Shockwaves rippled across the escorts, ripping them apart. Chun's vision blurred as energy flooded every cell in his body. He heard Zex's voice, distant, trembling, human. The bond cannot hold. If it breaks, you may. I'll take my chances, he gasped. Just don't let go. Light swallowed everything. When the brightness faded, the dreadnought was gone nothing, but drifting shards glowing faintly in the void. The skimmer tumbled, systems failing. Chun barely managed to steady it before collapsing against the console. His breath came ragged, his skin still faintly luminous. Zex? He whispered, no answer. He turned and saw her lying on the floor, her glow dim. He crawled to her side, panic rising. Hey, you stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open. It is. Finished. Yeah, he said, voice shaking. We did it. You saved us. Zex smiled faintly. We saved them. Chun frowned. Them? She nodded toward the orbs. They were still there, but no longer floating. They had taken faint shapes, small, ethereal creatures with fur like mist and eyes like stars. They pulsed gently, alive. They survived the blast, Zex whispered. The bond remade them. And you? Chun blinked. Me? Look at your hand. He did. The blue glow was fading, but not completely. A faint pattern, like frost veins, remained etched into his skin. You are part of us now, she said softly. He sat beside her, quiet, as the small glowing pups climbed onto his lap. They were warm, soft, and impossibly light. One yawned, releasing a puff of shimmering dust that floated upward like snow. Chun chuckled, exhausted but smiling. Guess I really am a dad. Zex let out a weak laugh, her tail curling around them. Prepare yourself, human. Fatherhood is not for the faint of heart. He looked at her, and for the first time, she wasn't just alien, she was family. Outside, the nebula's remains shimmered faintly in the distance. The universe was quiet again, but somewhere deep inside that silence, Something new had begun, something born, not of war or science, but of trust, sacrifice, and the strange, unshakable bond between one human and one runaway Zarkonian. 6 months later, the storms of Vega and the screams of battle felt like dreams half remembered, fading whenever Chun tried to picture them clearly. He now lived beneath a calm yellow sun on a colony world called Haven 9, a small agricultural moon orbiting a gentle gas giant. The sky here was never fully blue. It shimmered faint gold at dawn and turned lavender by evening, as if painted to soothe tired souls. Chun stood outside the small cabin he and Zex had built together from local composites and salvaged ship panels. The cabin wasn't much, but it had a porch, a garden of pale-leafed plants, and a wide field where their young ones played in the grass. 9 small hybrid pups darted and tumbled in the sunlight, half solid light and half fur, their laughter echoing in musical chirps. Zex sat on the porch steps, tail sweeping lazily across the wooden boards. Her fur glowed softly in the shade, eyes following the pups as they chased each other. She was stronger now, her wounds long healed, though a faint scar still traced her shoulder, a reminder of the dreadnought's claws. Chun joined her, handing over a cup of warm synth tea. "You still counting them?" Her ears twitched. "Always." They moved too fast to trust simple sight. He smirked. "You sound like a mom." "I am one," she replied matter-of-factly, taking a sip. "And so are you, by resonance standards." Chun choked on his drink, coughing. "Let's not spread that around." Zex's tail flicked with amusement. "Relax, human. It is only truth." They sat in companionable silence for a while, watching the pups invent their own games. 2 of them, the boldest pair Minjun and Siu Yan, names Chun had chosen in honor of old Earth friends, had learned how to use their energy pulses to lift pebbles into the air. Every time they succeeded, they yipped proudly and ran circles around their siblings. Fast learners. Chun murmured. Zex nodded. They carry both instincts, human curiosity and Zarkonian focus. It is a dangerous mix. Dangerous? She looked at him gently. Or miraculous? Depends who tells the story. Chun smiled faintly. Let's make sure it's us. The wind carried a soft hum from the fields, a colony transport settling at the nearby port. Zex's ears perked up instantly. Visitors? Chun shaded his eyes. A sleek, silver shuttle bore the insignia of the Terran Confederacy. His stomach sank. Guess our quiet life just ended. Minutes later, the shuttle touched down near the garden. The door hissed open, and a tall figure stepped out. Captain Yung-hoon, a peacekeeper Chun had served with years ago. His gray uniform gleamed in the sunlight. Behind him stood a woman in a white coat, Dr. Sarah Lim, xenobiologist for the Confederacy's Bio-Alliance Division. "Chun Park," Yung-hoon said, smiling broadly. "You really know how to disappear." Chun shrugged. "Didn't try that hard. Just found somewhere that didn't try to kill me." The captain's gaze flicked toward Zex, who had risen gracefully, pupils narrowing in quiet warning. Yung-hoon raised his hands slightly. "Relax. We're not here to arrest anyone. The Zarkonian fleet collapsed after your incident. The story spread across every channel. You're a hero." Zex's eyes softened, but her voice stayed cautious. "Heroes are dangerous. They invite attention." Dr. Sarah Lim stepped forward, her tone gentle. "We didn't come to expose you. We came to learn. The readings from your final transmission, 2 life signatures merging, 9 derivative forms. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Chun crossed his arms. "And what happens if I say no?" "Then we leave," Sarah said simply. "But it would help others like you and her." Hybridization through resonance could be the key to peace between species. Imagine it not through politics or treaties, but empathy written into biology. Zex tilted her head, studying the woman. You speak like a scientist who still believes in souls. Sarah smiled. Maybe I do. Chun looked at Zex. What do you think? Zex gazed at their children. The pups had paused, watching curiously. I think the universe is large enough for them to learn from more than us. But not as specimens. As students? Jung-hoon nodded. We can arrange that. There's a new settlement on Terran Station, 7 open borders, shared education. We could keep your location private. Chun hesitated, glancing at the cabin, the fields, the quiet peace they'd built. It's home. Zex touched his arm. Home is not walls, Chun. It is who you carry with you. He met her eyes, saw the truth there, and finally nodded. All right. But one fly the ship. She smiled. Of course you do. By evening, the Confederacy shuttle lifted off again, this time carrying more than it had arrived with. Chun sat by the viewport, watching Haven 9 shrink below. The 9 small figures curled up asleep beside Zex. Their glow reflecting in the glass dot Sarah, Lim observed the readings on her console and whispered, almost reverently, the first bonded family. Chun didn't reply. He was staring at the stars ahead, a faint smile on his lips. Guess humanity's family tree just got a little stranger. Zex rested her head on his shoulder, whispering in a voice that shimmered like the nebula's light. Prepare yourself, human. Our children will teach the galaxy what it means to belong. And somewhere in the infinite dark between stars, the bond pulsed again, soft, alive, an endless reminding the universe that compassion, once shared, could create life itself.